Welcome to our channel. Today, we bring you the concluding story of love, faith, and the hidden truths of ancestry. Stay with us as we unravel the story of Afideo, Moted, and the legacy that changed Yoruba traditions forever. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more captivating stories. Afideo watched over her only son like a hawk, never letting him out of her sight for too long. Every fever, every cough sent waves of fear crashing over her. She had seen too much loss, too many babies born only to slip away before they could even say her name. She couldn't bear to go through it again. She had loved Abiku deeply, but the thought of another pregnancy filled her with dread. What if the next child was too weak? What if the gods took them away like they had taken so many before? She told herself it was safer this way, to pour all her love into the son she already had. So, she busied herself with his care, making sure he ate well, slept enough, and never played too hard. She whispered prayers over him at night, pleading for the gods to spare him, to let him live a long, full life. But even as she cared for him, an ache settled in her heart. She had once dreamed of a house filled with laughter, of children running through the courtyard. Now, she only dreamed of keeping the one child she had. It was her grandmother who finally saw through her fear. The old woman, wise and full of stories, called her to sit beside her one evening. The fire crackled softly, casting long shadows on the walls. "You fear the past, my child," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "But fear cannot change fate. Let me tell you the story of Moted. Child," she began, her voice a gentle murmur, "the burden you carry are echoes of a past intertwined with your own. Your son is a gift," she added softly, her voice carrying the weight of generations. "His vibrant health brings joy to my old heart, especially when I think of the trials our ancestors faced." Afideo leaned in, curiosity lighting her features. "Grandmother, you've hinted at our family's past before. Will you tell me more about it?" The elder nodded, her gaze distant as she delved into memories passed down through generations. "It's time you knew the full story, my child. Moted was born into royalty, yet her life was far from a fairy tale. She was the daughter of a powerful Alefin, raised in the grandeur of the palace, surrounded by silk, gold, and servants who bowed at her feet. But from the moment she took her first breath, her fate had already been sealed. She was to marry within the bloodline, as was custom, to keep power concentrated within the family, to preserve the divine lineage that ruled the kingdom of Orokan. At 15, Moted's beauty was mesmerizing. Her deep brown skin glowed like polished mahogany, and her dark, almond-shaped eyes held a quiet wisdom. High cheekbones framed her slender nose, and her full lips, the color of ripe plum fruit, hinted at unspoken truths. Her thick, coiled hair, adorned with golden beads, cascaded down her back in intricate plaits, marking her royal lineage. She moved with effortless grace, each step as fluid as a river's flow. Yet beyond her beauty, it was her quiet strength and piercing gaze that left the greatest impression. She was given in marriage to Jolod, a prince of noble birth and her close relative. The wedding was a grand affair, celebrated with feasts, music, and days of dancing. Unknown to anyone, beneath the surface of celebration, an uneasy silence followed Moted into her new life. Within a year, she bore her first child, a boy. But he did not live past his first moon cycle. The elders said the gods had taken him too soon. More children followed, each one frail, each one slipping away before they could utter their first words. The whispers in the palace grew louder. The once revered princess was now a source of shame. Some said she was cursed, others claimed she was not fit to bear royal blood. But the truth, though unspoken, was evident. Generation after generation of inbreeding had taken its toll. Jolod, too, began to look at her with quiet resentment. His people needed an heir, and she could not provide one. When she finally gave birth to a daughter who survived, the joy was short-lived. The child was sickly, barely strong enough to sit upright. The elders met in secret, and a decision was made: a Jolod would take another wife. A princess from another royal house in Orokan. Moted watched as another woman stepped into her place, as her husband's affections drifted elsewhere. But worse than heartbreak was the shame. Once a breathtaking princess, Moted was cast away like a forgotten relic. The proud house of Orokan could not bear the shame of a child they saw as a blemish. Soon, the whispers turned into demands: she must leave the palace. The people would not tolerate a woman who brought nothing but sickness and death. Alone and heartbroken, she left the palace, not just for herself but to protect Jolod's honor. The kingdom that once rejoiced at her birth now turned away in shame. She wandered far, carrying her sorrow, seeking a place where her existence was not a burden but a chance to begin again. In a small village, she found refuge among commoners. Here, she was no longer a princess, no longer the wife of a prince, just a woman with nothing to her name. Determined to survive, Moted learned the ways of the healers. She studied herbs, roots, and potions. She soon bore more children, but this time, they lived. She raised them with wisdom, teaching them the truth about the mistakes of the past. And generations later, her descendants returned to Orokan, not as royalty, but as healers who carried the knowledge to break the cycle. You, my dear, are a direct descendant of Queen Moted. The revelation resonated deeply with Ifideo. It all began to make sense. She realized that her passion for healing was not just a personal calling but a legacy passed down through generations. Her grandmother's voice broke through her thoughts. The frailty that plagued Moted's children was not a curse but a hereditary condition, one that we now know as sickle cell anemia. In those times, such ailments were misunderstood, leading to fear and superstition. Ifideo looked at her son, playing happily, and felt a surge of gratitude. Grandmother, does this mean that our family carries this trait? The old woman nodded solemnly. Yes, but knowledge is power. Understanding our heritage allows us to make informed choices, to break the cycle of suffering that befell our ancestors. As Ifideo sat beside her sleeping son, she felt generations of sorrow lift from her heart. Her grandmother's words echoed: she was not cursed, and her children would outlive her, if she chose to remarry like Moted. She remembered the words of the oracle: love will guide you. Her predicament that once brought her shame was not a divine punishment but a trait carried in their blood. Understanding had replaced fear, and knowledge had broken the cycle of suffering. She now saw the truth: love, not fear, would shape her family's future. She thought of Moted, the queen forced into exile, blamed for what she could not control, who became a healer for her children. As days turned into weeks, Ifideo pondered her newfound heritage. She confided in Abiku, her beloved, a warrior known for his strength and unwavering loyalty. Together, they sought to uncover the truth about bloodline marriages, a practice meant to keep power within the royal household. What was once seen as tradition had brought hidden suffering. Now, they aimed to break the cycle, ensuring that wisdom, not blind loyalty, guided the future of their lineage. Their quest led them to ancient texts and consultations with elders. They discovered that the afflictions plaguing Motade's descendants were not curses but symptoms of a hereditary condition known as sickle cell anemia. The Yoruba people had long referred to such children as Abiku, believing them to be spirit children who came and went as they pleased. In reality, these children suffered from a genetic disorder that caused their red blood cells to become rigid and sickle-shaped, leading to various health complications. Armed with this knowledge, Abiku and Abiku faced a choice: remain silent and let the myths persist, or educate their people and challenge centuries-old beliefs. They chose the latter. Abiku began holding gatherings, sharing her findings with the villagers. She explained that the so-called curse was a genetic trait passed down through generations. She taught them about the importance of genetic compatibility in marriage and the risks associated with certain unions. At first, her words were met with skepticism. The villagers had clung to their beliefs for generations, and change was daunting. But Abiku's passion and the evidence she presented slowly began to sway them. One day, an elderly man approached her after a gathering. "My granddaughter has lost 6 children," he confessed, tears streaming down his face. "We thought she was cursed. But now, I see there might be another explanation." Abiku took his hands in hers. "There is hope. With understanding, we can prevent further suffering." The ripple effect of her teachings spread throughout Orokan. Couples began seeking counsel before marriage, and the stigma surrounding families with sick children started to dissipate. In Yorubaland today, the wisdom of the past shapes the choices of the present. Couples no longer enter marriage blindly. They seek counsel, ensuring they understand their spouse's lineage. This practice, once ignored, has become essential in preventing inherited illnesses and securing the strength of future generations. The painful lessons of the past, hidden ancestry, children lost too soon, and blame placed on innocent women, have led to new awareness. Families no longer whisper in shame but embrace knowledge, recognizing that understanding one's bloodline is not superstition but wisdom. Years passed, and Abiku's efforts bore fruit. The kingdom of Orokan transformed from a place bound by superstition to one enlightened by knowledge. The tale of Queen Motade evolved from a story of sorrow to one of resilience and redemption. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more historical tales that reveal the untold truths of the past.